that.
Start without me.
Good morning. It's wonderful to see you here all again. It's good to see some who visit us occasionally and some who visit us every Sunday. It's a blessing. Is there anyone here for the very first time? I don't think so. All right, it's good to see folks arriving still. I consider this to be my spiritual home. Do you all pretty much agree to that one? Does that sound normal? Yeah. And the theme this month is home. And so just welcome home. Welcome home this morning to a place where you're always welcome, where you are blessed by the presence of others of like mind, and where you can truly begin to be yourself. So in this, let's just take a look at some of our announcements for next week. I get to speak next week. I'll be doing generally on the topic of home. And there's nobody here for the first time, Claire? Nope, we're good. Thank you. All right. And we will have hospitality this morning. Thank you very much, Cheryl. Where are you, dear? Maybe she's still down there doing that. Oh, there you are. She's holding a high watch in the back. And then our events next Sunday is at about 12:30. We'll have our visioning meeting, so all are welcome to stay for that. Thanksgiving dinner sign-up sheet is in the library, and our silent auction has been rescheduled to January 1st of next year. Our story lady is appearing in our children's church. Any other announcements that we feel need to be made today? All right. Let's then go on and, realizing we're all welcome here, let us have our congregational song. It's In the Light.
So as you might have noticed, Annie's not here today, but if she was, she would invite you to do these hand signals with the light, the love, and the glory. So this is the light. This is love.
Oh, that's love, yeah.
And this is glory. Not too hard.
You want to stand for that?
In the light and the love and the glory, in the light and the love and the glory, in the light and the love and the glory, I am. In the light and the love and the glory, in the light and the love and the glory, in the light and the love and the glory, I am. That was marvelous. I am as God created me, in the light. God created me in the light, in the love, in the glory, in the light, in the love, in the glory of I am. In the light, in the love, in the glory of I am. In the light and the love and the glory, in the light and the love and the glory, in the light and the love and the glory, I am. In the light and the love and the glory, in the light and the love and the glory, in the light and the love and the glory, I am. One more time, and don't hit your neighbor now. I am as God created me. I am as God created me, in the light, in the love, in in the glory of. I am in the light, in the love, in the glory of. I am in the light and the love and the glory, in the light and the love and the glory, in the light and the love and the glory. I am in the light and the love and the glory, in the light and the love and the glory, in the light and the love and the glory. I am, and we all are.
I think, Reverend Moore, my mouth moves faster than my hands.
I think it does. I think it does. All right. And our invocation this morning will be by, who is doing our invocation? Oh, I guess I get to do the invocation. Oh, okay. That's fun. There's a deep sense of peace, a deep sense of belonging, a deep sense of owning my own self in its right place, right here and right now. For I stand in the truth, and I stand in the love, and I stand in the power of the infinite God of joy, the infinite God of strength, the infinite God of power. And what I know for myself, I know for every person here, and that this place is redolent with the reverberation of the power, the energy, and the love which is divine, and which is in each and every person here. I accept this awareness of being truly at home in the infinite, and I bring to this celebration this morning my attention and my love and my support. And with this in mind then, I simply let go and let the infinite joyful presence of Spirit work in, through, and as me and everyone here. As we know this, let us say it together, and so it is. We have an invocation also this morning. An affirmation this morning, and let us read it together. Starts with the word today. Today, I balance my awareness of the roots that anchor me in my human endeavors with the delight that my spirit has wings to soar. I do enjoy this journey called my life. So, with a joyful heart, I now proclaim, wow, what a ride! And so it is. All right. And our reader this morning is our good friend, Catherine Kim.
Good morning. Let me offer you some encouraging words. The law of attraction guarantees that complainers will always have a lifetime supply of things to complain about. Ernest Holmes, in his book, The Science of Mind, has this to say: the time will come when we let our conversation be the heaven and refuse to talk about, read, or think about those things that ought not to be. Have you ever known a chronic complainer? The danger for such a person is that the universe has extremely big ears and is always listening, and it can't take a joke. It magnifies what we focus our energy on and expands our experience of it. The more we complain about something, the more we will draw to us more things to complain about. Maya Angelou offered us a solution when she wrote, "What you're supposed to do when you don't like a thing is change it. If you can't change it, change the way you think about it." The practice is to be mindful that with clarity comes choice. We can put whatever tempts us to complain about into one of two categories. Either it's an issue we can, and therefore should, do something about it, or it's beyond our control and we should release it. Whenever we chronically complain about the same thing, we are granting it permission to remain unchanged in our experience. Complainers are powerless. As Maya Angelou inferred, if you can't change it, at least change the way you think about it. And therein lies your power. The next time you catch yourself complaining, take a moment to pause, breathe, and be still. If you know it is beyond the sphere of your influence, let it go and be done with it. If not, you have work to do. In either case, when your head hits the pillow at night, you'll be happier, and no doubt, so will those around you. And that's a good thing. Today's affirmation: today I commit to listening to my words. If I catch myself complaining about anything, I see it as a call for either action or acceptance, and I am at peace. Cheers to our personal power, and blessings to you all.
Yes.
So this is a John Denver song called It's About Time. There's a full moon over India, and Gandhi lives again. Who's to say you have to lose for someone else to win? In the eyes of all the people, the look is much the same. For the first is just the last one. When you play the deadly game, it's about time we realize it. We're all in this together. It's about time we find out. It's all of us or none. It's about time we recognize it. The changes in the weather. It's about time. It's about change. It's about time. Well, there's a light in every one of us for all the world to see. And it shines in every color, no matter where they be. We're taught to love our neighbors as we love ourselves, and to do unto others as we'd have them do to us. It's about time we start to see it. The earth is our only home. It's about time we start to face it. We're all alone. Yes, it's about time we start to listen to the voices in the wind. It's about change. It's about this. It's about time. There's a man who is my brother. I just don't know his name, but I know his home and family, and I know we feel the same. And it hurts me when he's hungry and when his children cry. For I too am a father, and those little ones are mine. It's about time we begin it. Turn the world around. It's about time we start to make it the dreams we've always known. It's about time we start to live it, the family of man. It's about time. It's about change. It's about time. It's about peace. It's about about plenty, it's about time. And it's about you and me together, and it's about time.
Well, it's about time that we listen to Reverend Julie Applegate this morning. Please join me in welcoming her.
I got to tell you, wow, for those of you who are listening at home and are not here, I'm glad you're listening at home, but boy, you should have been here. There's something about the energy. Catherine, thank you for that reading. That was so powerful. So powerful. And Blaine, that has got to be one of my favorite songs, and I'm just like, my legs are like jelly this morning. I love that song. It's just.
When you turn that mic to the side.
Yeah, well, it bops me in the nose when I get too close to it, so I'll do the best I can with that. So, wow, thank you, Blaine. Thank you. And so our theme for this month is home. And our topic today is roots and wings. And what I want to look at is not our individual homes, the house in which we live, but our spiritual home. Not the building or even the community, but that deep place in us where we are home and where our wholeness exists. And many of us have found our spiritual home, in New Thought. And that can mean the community. And I expect for a lot of you like me, it was the experience of where I came into this New Thought Center not knowing, never having ever heard of this particular church called Religious Science, but it sounded intriguing. And I walk in and I'm home. Because what I hear there speaks to my soul. It was exactly what my soul was looking for. And it spoke truth to me. So the roots of our teaching, and I found this when I walked into that center, the roots of our teaching give us wings. And for me, when I walked into that center, I was introduced to wings that I didn't even know I had, that I didn't even know existed. And I'll tell you what, when Catherine read that about, what we have control over and what we don't, I had no idea that it wasn't just everything out here that was controlling everything. A new thought, that was a new thought for me. And for those of you who may not be familiar with all the language, we are part of New Thought, which is an umbrella for many individual groups that share this same teaching and have a new thought, a new experience. And for me, when I walked into that center and I realized I was home, this idea, and boy, it was new, I had to think about it a lot, that my reality comes from in here, a new thought. A new thought. And these new thoughts that I got in these centers and continue to get, are the things that give me wings to fly in my life. And I think that's true for you too. And so new thought is a path. There's lots of paths. There's lots of paths home to that inner beingness, that divine essence, that mystical place that is calling all of us. It's really calling all of us. That's why we seek, that's why we look, that's why we listen, because there's something in us that's calling each one of us home to that center, to that divine, to that unnameable. It's a path. And it's a path to awakening, a path to self-realization, to that place where peace that passes understanding. And it's a path that's both easy and difficult. It's easy because we're provided with the tools for transformation. When you listen enough here or you take a class, you will be provided with tools for your transformation. it's difficult because we have to use the tools. And, you know, like exercise, how many of you want to get in shape or want to feel better or, you know, for me, I've been really trying to eat less sugar. And I have an addiction to gummy bears. This is true. You think it's not possible. 2 articles in the New York Times talked about gummy bear addictions. Really, seriously. Then I realized, there's something in them. So anyway, I am trying not to, and I tell Paul, don't bring home any treats. Don't bring home any sugar. And then, I don't know, I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand because in case this isn't true for any of you, I don't want to feel embarrassed. But how many of you have like gone through your purse or the floor of the car looking for whatever it is? Yeah, just by chance. For me, it just by chance a gummy bear might have fallen out and into the bottom of my church, which frequently happens. So I am trying to do this, and I know all the tools, and I know what's good for me, and I know what's not good for me. And it's the practice that's hard, isn't it? So this teaching is both easy because it gives us tools of affirmative prayer, right there written out for us, and yet difficult. New Thought is an ancient teaching. New Thought is a modern teaching. New Thought's ideas and philosophies are very old, but they were reinvigorated in the 19th century. And by a couple folks, probably more than that, but a couple folks that are the foundation. One of them is Phineas Parkhurst Quimby, who many of you know, and Ralph Waldo Emerson and the Transcendentalists. Now, we're not going to talk about Ralph today, but I want to talk a little bit about Quimby and the wings that he gave to this teaching that others took up and used to fly. So, a little bio about him. He was born in 1802. And as a young man, he had consumption, which is essentially tuberculosis. And in those days, it was an absolute death sentence. And so he had been told that he had, consumption, and he knew where that went because so many people died of that in those days. And so he felt tired and he felt just exhausted and could barely go. So a neighbor of his said, well, you know what might invigorate you is a ride in the carriage, in the fresh air, in the cold air. And so he went for a ride with his horse up all over the place, and it was kind of a muddy way on the way back home, as we are told, up this little muddy hill, and the horse decided it wasn't going to go. So the neighbor came out and, pulled if you've ever led horses, started to lead the horse up the hill, and the horse got spooked somehow and took off running. And the carriage is flying behind the horse. And so Quimby, in order to save his life, has to spring into action and begins to try to control this horse and control the whole situation. And by the time he gets home with the horse, because of course horses like to go home, they like to go where it's easy and comfortable like the rest of us. So by the time they got there and got everything stopped, he was like, so focused on that, and he got out probably with his knees shaking and went in the house, and he realized he had so much energy. It had taken so much energy to do that without even thinking that he was ill. And he felt so alive and vital just because of all this. And he said to himself, I must not be sick. I must have believed I was sick because I was told I was sick. And so he began to study that, and realize that here were the teachings of Jesus, the very same teachings of Jesus. And at the time, hypnosis was really popular. And so a fellow by the name of Berkmeyer was hypnotizing people, and he happened to hypnotize Quimby. And Quimby was one of those people who could go into a deep trance and actually read people's bodies and their situations. And so out of that came information for people and healing information for people and for himself too. And then one day he realized, this is all thought. I don't need a trance. I can heal myself. It's all in my mind, whether I'm sick or well. And he said, this mind that Jesus said that could move mountains with faith. The stories in the scriptures about healing, and there's so many of them. Usually they're about healing the physical body. Once in a while they're about prosperity, believe it or not. But about healing the physical body in scriptures. Like the story in Matthew where this woman has been bleeding for 12 years. And she had heard Jesus preach, and she had known his works, and she thought, if I can just get up there and touch the hem of his garment, I know I can be healed. And she did, and he felt that power there go out of him. He turned around, and he said, go in peace. Your faith has made you whole. Your faith has made you whole. There's lots of stories we could talk about today, both in that tradition and other traditions. But Quimby, in his world, began to study those and came to the conclusion that it was his beliefs. He said, we are miserable and sick by our beliefs, and we are made well by our beliefs. Somewhat like Catherine was talking about in that reading today. We come to understand, and he came to understand that there is a power, a spiritual power in us that can make us whole. And because medicine was practically non-existent in those days, people heard about him, and they began to come to him in droves. And what he did was sit with them and talk to them. And he said those who believed what he said, that their illness was of their own creation and could be healed by faith, went away healed. And that was something that was particularly needed in those days. And so there were many, many people who came to him. And so there is in each one of us a spiritual power that the mind uses to build experiences. Edgar Casey, who also was a healer 100 years after Quimby, said this: spirit is the life, the mind the builder, the physical the result. So there's a spiritual power in us because, you guys, get this logically, we are one with the source of our being, which is the power that created the whole world. And yeah, that's pretty big. So if this power is in us, then it is our mind and our thoughts and our beliefs that uses this power to create our experience. And so let's move forward from Quimby a number of decades to the Fillmores. How many of you are familiar with Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, founders of the Unity movement? And that movement began with healing of both of them. Myrtle had gone to hear someone speak, and she was very ill. And it resonated with her, like things do with us when we bump up against that which we are supposed to hear, which we need to hear. And so she said it this way. And I'm a great admirer of Myrtle Fillmore. There's a little book called Letters of Myrtle Fillmore that I highly recommend. Anyway, she said this: how it began is I was very sick. I had all the ills of mind and body that I could bear. Medicine and doctors ceased to give me relief, and I was in despair until I found practical Christianity. I affirmed my beliefs and I was healed. I did most of the healing myself because I wanted to understand. I wanted the understanding for future use. This is how I made what I call my discovery. And it didn't happen overnight for her. She was persistent because she absolutely believed in what she was doing. She had a new thought, and it was this: I'm not a miserable sinner, as she had been taught. She had this new thought: I am a child of God, and I do not inherit sickness. And her realization as a child of God, no part of God, she said, was imperfect, was sick. And for her, sickness was the big thing. As a child of God, she believed and she said this all the time. This was her mantra over and over and over again for a very long time. As a child of God, her life and being were a divine inheritance. And no part of that inheritance for her included sickness. Anything she has experienced of imperfection, she said, is not supposed to be there. So Myrtle went on to say this, because in due time she began to get better and better and better. And she had been told that she was dying. So what we call disease is a lack of harmony in the organism. When we touch the Christ state of consciousness, harmony pours over us. And that which is called illness, a condition resulting from inharmony within ourselves, is arrested and adjusted by mind. Then it flashed upon me, she said, that I might talk to the life in every part of my body and have it do just what I wanted. And I began to teach my body, and I got marvelous results. She says, I removed ill thoughts and replaced them with thoughts of divine inheritance. And then she began to work with others. It was not an overnight process. And you know that Unity has, like Centers for Spiritual Living, a center where people, millions of people, send for prayer requests, and the work of healing goes on. And so what is true for Myrtle is true for you and me. You see, there aren't somebody picked out to be special. We're all special. It's just our realization of our own specialness that's important. What is true for her is true for each one of us. And you see, we've been given God-given potential to heal our life and bring ourselves good. Whatever that is in our life that needs healing. And it may not be a physical healing. It may be some other kind of healing that we need. But there's a God-given potential in each one of us. A God-given. So let's begin with these questions. I'm asking each one of us, do I believe I'm a spiritual being in a physical experience? Do I believe my spiritual self affects my physical self? Absolutely. Do I believe my mind and thoughts affect me physically? And I can speak to that because I've become so sensitive to my thoughts that I can actually feel them affecting my body. You'd think that would be a good learning curve, but there you are. So healing, it's simply change our thoughts, change our life, right? Easy. Yeah. If it were, we wouldn't have an issue. So our life is a reflection of the thinking that we've had. And you know, it's not just our conscious mind. Okay, we can work really hard in catching ourselves and thinking what we're thinking. But we have this subconscious, this unconscious, that is super powerful. And it's a collection of all the experiences, all the beliefs, even those that we, mostly in our unconscious, we don't remember. But it remembers. Something may have happened to us in grade school and made us think something about ourselves. And we may have forgotten the incident, but it lives within us. So our unconscious and it is really important. So this idea of changing our thinking, changing our life, it's a journey. It's a journey. Because our consciousness is caused, and when Myrtle talked about getting into the Christ consciousness, we're not talking about Jesus. We're talking about this consciousness of the divine, of wholeness, of truth. So our consciousness is cause, and it's the whole collection of all of our thoughts and beliefs. And you see, this is why if we read a book like The Secret, which is a book that has a lot of truth in it, but just knowing something, and I can tell you, I like to know a lot of things, but just knowing those things hasn't changed my life. How about you? Yeah. How about you, like, really know a lot about these teachings, about spirituality? Yeah. And are you still working on stuff? Yeah. Because just knowing, I mean, it is the place to begin. I would hate not to know that there is an answer, there's a place to begin, and that if I choose not to begin, well, I choose not to begin. And that is up to me. And that's why what we know, because if we don't work on it, what we know isn't going to materialize in our life. So we must have the consciousness that truth requires, whether that's a consciousness of belief in poverty and lack and boy, the way the economy's going, I'm not gonna make it, or it's gonna, how do we see? It's not. Oh, that's the other thing, you guys. It's not just our thoughts. It's not just our unconscious. It's all of the thoughts out there. How many of you are affected by the thoughts out there? Yeah. Before we know it, it's like, oh my God. Every time I get the tax bill, I say, oh, look, Paul. So, I mean, I just fall into that without even thinking. Because we're bombarded. And I am, as guilty. I have how many newspapers do we take? 6? I'm serious. And keeping up, but can we keep up and know the truth in all of that? Because I believe that we should be part of the world that we live in. But can I read that and say, yes, that's the experience, but the truth is. But the truth is. Here's the experience. We're struggling in fear. The world is struggling in fear. And here is the truth. That might be a powerful thing to do. It's like a treatment of annoyingness. That we can look at that and say that. Here's what's going on, but there's a deeper truth. And I know that it manifests. I'm thinking maybe that's the way I should read and watch the news. I know that's where we're going, But there's a deeper truth, because there is a deeper truth. There is a deeper truth. So the keys to this is fortitude, you guys. Oh, I know. You want to come to church. It's going to be so easy. Just not giving up. Continue. I have to be reminded, this is, my husband sitting here, I'm sure I will be reminded, to not complain about the news or get into this, which I always do, and to know that, yes, this is happening and there's a deeper truth. To have that fortitude, to come to church, to remind ourselves, to participate in a community that supports these beliefs, to get up in the morning and read the Science of Mind or whatever inspirational book that you have, to start our mind in the morning where it needs to be. Fortitude, and keep on keeping on. It says in Isaiah, you will keep in perfect peace those whose mind are steadfast because they trust. Whose minds are steadfast. Ernest Holmes said, we need to know with scientific certainty that there is a consciousness and a power in the universe that responds to us definitely, directly, and dynamically. Each individual must arrive at a place in his or own consciousness where this contact is so immediate and so dynamic that if every other living soul denied it, he would still know. We're not victims of what is said out there, even of what's in our unconscious, because it can be revealed. This is why it's necessary to practice and to develop a deep connection to Source. And New Thought's not an easy path, of course. But we have the tools. And the last thing I want to say about how to work these transformational principles is pay attention, mindfulness. So pay attention to what's happening in our life. I always think our life is our biggest information post. You know, if we pay attention to what's happening and our automatic ways of responding, and the results I'm experiencing, you know, there's our beacons flashing before us. Oh, you're here again, are you? It's information our soul is allowing us to read if we will pay attention, mindfulness, be mindful of our own life and experience. It's like, you know, I spent a night at the Columbia River Hotel this week with my college roommate from many, many years ago. And we were talking about eating and times we eat. And being mindful of what triggers. Say you want to eat differently or eat better or go on a diet or give up the gummy bears. What triggers this? What triggers? Is it stress? When we're stressed and upset, do we do certain things? Just paying attention. This is mindfulness and soul information for the transformation of our consciousness. Because it's all consciousness. And we're talking about wings, and I couldn't help but think of butterflies. Wow, how miraculous that is to have those fuzzy little caterpillars spin a cocoon and emerge. Everything in them breaks down and they emerge as this gorgeous butterfly. Do you ever just think of the wonder of that? Of how amazing that is? What they did is they went within that quiet place in this cocoon, and whatever that source of their being was, there was this transformation that took place in them. And they emerged with these wings of beauty. And I think that's our journey too. That we go within this quiet place. Let this God be in you and me. And allow it to transform our consciousness. So that every time we emerge, we are more glorious and more beautiful. We have wings to fly. Namaste.
Well, this is, excuse me, this is a song that I wrote about this very subject that Julie was talking about. And how I needed a break from the work once in a while. And I'm going to sing the chorus a few times, and you'll be invited to sing along. I could make of my life a heartache healing to wholeness. One tiny cell at a time. Healing old wounds, purging pain and fear. And of course, the masks. Don't forget the masks. Has a whole new meaning now, doesn't it? So slow to come to wholeness. So much growth to be won. So I smile and shrug and kick off my shoes and let the dancer come to call. And I'm dancing with the spirit, spinning in a moment of time. I'm dancing with the spirit. God is joy, and joy is mine. Joy is mine. I could make of my life a manger and let a baby Jesus be born. Let spirit grow and innocence reign, where light and power and miracles dwell, where loving eyes see all humanity is one, and we all share the earth. Don't forget Mother Earth. And when my Pharisees come and ask me, who do I think I am? Well, I'd smile, shrug, and give them a hug, and let the dancer come to call. And I'm dancing with the spirit, spinning in a moment of time. I'm dancing with the spirit. God is joy, and joy is mine. Oh, joy is mine. I can think of myself as used. I could let other people tell me I'm wrong, but I believe we're all perfect spirits, just taking human form. And I'm dancing with the spirit, spinning in a moment of time. I'm dancing with the spirit. God is joy, and joy is mine. Sing it with me. Yes, I'm dancing with the spirit, spinning in a moment of time. Yes, I'm dancing with the spirit. God is joy, and joy is mine. Yes, I'm dancing, and I'm spinning. Oh, I'm dancing with the spirit. God is joy. God is love, and God is mine all the time.
Thank you for sharing your song with us this morning, Blaine. As we dance with Spirit, I love it. Yes, as we're dancing with Spirit, all different ways in our lives, we have the opportunity at this time to dance with Spirit in the joy of life as we support this wonderful center of spiritual living. Now it is time where we do our offertory, and I'm asking Michelle yes, to come forward. Excuse me. So let us say together our offering. Shannon. Yes. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circle.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
The blessings of the infinite loving presence of God always flow into our hearts and minds. They strengthen our bodies, and these blessings become so natural, we sometimes even overlook them. But every Sunday we have the opportunity to look at the blessings that are divine, accept the blessings that are divine, and realize these blessings are ourselves. This is the truth. Let us declare it so by saying together, and so it is. Let's go ahead and stand and say our prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds us. The presence of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Let's sing our peace song.
Peace on earth.